Inside the Yolo Basin Foundation, you'll find a variety of animals, geese, otters, ducks, deer, beaver, and various fish. And a big giant elk head. But we're not here for any of that today. Today, we're looking at bats. Yes, we're coming up on spooky season, and you might think that's why we're looking at bats, but that's not it at all. In fact, I don't think bats are scary, just really fascinating. And let's face it, they are just tiny, adorable teddy bears with wings. Look at that! You can't be afraid of that. And not far from Sacramento is something pretty spectacular that I had to check out. First, I might need to explain a little bit about the area we're in. The Yolo Basin is an area of wetlands and flood control between Sacramento, California, and Davis, its neighboring city. Long ago during the spring months, it was not uncommon for this area to flood, and sometimes the flooding was so bad it would cut off access between Sacramento and Davis. Some of the worst floods made it to the towns, which is not great for people. Now we have a causeway, which is basically a really long bridge between Sacramento and Davis that goes over protected wetlands, flood control levees, floodways, and rice paddies. Think about this. It would have been really easy just to drain the wetlands, dam up the waterways, and make a highway so that flooding wouldn't happen. And sometimes that has been the solution. But here, we see that people created a system of flood control that actually works with nature instead of against it. Civil engineering meets agriculture meets ecosystem survival. And one amazing thing that happened totally by accident, the causeway became a really wonderful summer home for migrating bats. And so the Yolo Basin Foundation has opened up the opportunity during the summer months to educate visitors on bats and show them the local bat colony. First, we got to see some live ambassador bats up close, while the docents gave us a ton of bat facts. Like, I can't even tell you all the bat facts we learned, so you might have to actually visit for yourself, but let me just say, bats are the only mammal that can fly and play a major part in protecting our crops from insects. That's why it's so important to make sure local bat colonies stay safe and healthy. After the talk, we got to take a driving tour of some of the protected wetlands and rice paddies. Fun fact, rice is one of the food crops that grow really well in wetlands. Again, working with nature, not against it. And then towards dusk, we got to see the colony head out for the night of foraging. These bats are migratory, so as the weather cools, they'll be moving further south to find a warmer location to roost and forage. These are Mexican free-tail bats. Every night they might travel 50 to 100 miles from their roost, eating upwards of 3 times their body weight in insects. Basically, several thousand insects every night per bat. It also means that the bats I see on my evening walk could possibly be coming from the Yolo Causeway. They tend to leave the causeway in large groups, so what you see kind of looks like a trail of smoke winding its way up in the air. In fact, a group of bats that are flying is actually called a cloud, so that makes sense. We could see them under the bridge start to swirl around each other until they got a group ready to go. Kind of like trying to get a group of friends to all decide where they want to go eat. From our vantage point, we could see these clouds up and down the causeway. I would really like to see them from the causeway sometime. I really wonder what drivers up there must be thinking. Now that it's September, the bats will start moving on to other places, and I won't see them again until late spring. I really appreciate the Yolo Basin Foundation and their efforts to educate people on bats and make sure the Causeway colony is safe and healthy. See you on the next side quest.